Welcome to Sharing Hope. I'm your host, Jamie George, and today with us is Mr. David Leonard. David's been playing, singing, writing, and recording music since college when he and his friends formed a band called Jackson Waters. He later performed with Need to Breathe, and then they went through a season of recording as one half of the critically acclaimed Grammy Award-nominated duo All Sons and Daughters. He's been an award-winning producer and songwriter. If you have ever sung or heard the song Greater Ye Lord, that's this guy. And David released his first album called The Wait in March of 2019. And for those of us who know David and know this album, it's been pretty special to a lot of us. It's a piece of art, honestly. And David, what a joy to have you with us. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, man.
How are you coping with the quarantine?
The way I describe it is like there's it's kind of a little bit how I described having kids. You're greatly inconvenienced at all times, but you're kind of okay with it.
Like that.
It's kind of one of those deals. There's a lot of beauty in it. There's like a lot of moments where I'm going, there's no other time in my life have I ever had moments like these, where it's coming around family, and especially even Easter. It was like that was a moment for me that was like a real kind of the eye opener of going. I've in all the years of my life, every Easter has been something. I'm working. I'm doing something to build up this grand thing that we've always created for services and things. And this is the first time where I sat on my couch with my family, and the presence of God was still there even in those moments.
How about that, right?
Yeah, and it was just like even a reminder of going, hey, like if we ever thought that Easter wouldn't continue if we didn't do all these things, we were wrong. So,
yeah.
So there's beauty in that, but then there's moments where it's really hard to get anything done when the kids are running around. I'm trying to do stuff, and my wife's trying to work at the same time, and so it's this balance of good and really tough.
Your wife's a school teacher, so I mean, her role, talk about being turned upside down.
Yeah, and she's like a department head too, so she's kind of in charge of coming up with a lot of the stuff for Williamson County, and so she spends a lot of time on Zoom calls and trying to figure out how to best navigate all this stuff with every kid. But then at the same time, you can't force these kids to do anything. So it's kind of hard. It's a weird kind of paradox we live in.
Man, and you have this amazing studio down in downtown Franklin, and you're not there. You're at home.
I'm there. I probably could be going there, but I don't know. There's kind of been a little bit of the beauty of creating a new space at the house, and it's given me new energy for creating and doing all this kind of stuff. So I'm enjoying it. I'm ready to get back to the community side of making records and writing and all that, but enjoying the solitude of what this is too.
Yeah. Related to that, is there anything that you would say mattered a whole lot more before that matters less now, or something that matters more now than ever before?
I mean, I think this is going to sound super petty, but just even going to a restaurant and sitting down, like I'm sick of washing dishes. I'm sick of taking out the trash. It's like every second we're washing a dish or we're taking out the trash. So I long for the day when we get to go back to a restaurant and sit there and enjoy it.
And when you think about restaurants, is there one in particular or a kind of food that you've been craving? You're like, I just can't wait to get that.
I don't know. We were talking about it yesterday. It was like even like sushi and stuff like that. Just going to a restaurant and enjoying it, and I don't know. Some of our favorite restaurants in Nashville of just being able to go back to, and we were talking about that the other day. We were like, which restaurant do you think we're going to go back to first?
Yeah.
I mean, Bakersfield has always been one of our favorites for going and getting tacos, and so that's high on our list. So
That's
who
cool.
knows?
I love it. Well, I've been hanging out with people, and this season has been filled with uncertainty, anxiety, fear. You and I have done a lot of life together. I know you've had to face those things head on for you. Could you go back to a season in your story where you felt the weight of uncertainty, and maybe talk about how challenging that was, and how you got through it, and how you're different today because of it? Just another season where you face that level of uncertainty, because we're all kind of dealing with it now, but how you got through it.
Yeah, I mean, for a number of years, me and my wife tried to have another kid. We have an 8-year-old daughter, and then for about 3.5, 4 years, we tried to have another one. And it was a time where we really, really, truly desired something, but we felt like it never would come. And struggled with the infertility thing, ended up having a miscarriage, and the kind of blows that come with that of waiting for so long, and then something that you longed for happening, and then it going away as well. And I think it was one of those that, and especially when you talk about infertility and stuff like that, it's such a month-to-month basis. You spend the beginning of the month gaining your courage again, then you finally get it, and then you have the air taken out again. And so it's like the constant. It's a constant that happens every month, and the miscarriage is like such a different beast as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that season.
How did you guys make it through that? Like, how did you?
I don't know if we did. I mean, we made it through it, but it's like, I know that we're not the same as we were when we started walking through that stuff. I think it has made us cherish our kids even more, for sure, because it wasn't something easy. It's like it's we've been talking about that a lot lately. It's like, River is our youngest, and we ended up having a little girl after the miscarriage, which was amazing. But it's one of those things that we tend to cherish it even more than I feel like we would have if it was something that just came easy. I mean, that's been the story of my life with music. That's been the story with our marriage. That's been the story with the kids. It's, I tend to appreciate them a bit more through the struggles of what I've walked through.
Yeah. Gratitude has always seemed close to you. It's something that kind of falls off you easily. Would you say that's because of the years of going through different forms of struggle like that? You just learned to have a sense of appreciation?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, whether it's, consciously or unconsciously, yes, guaranteed. I don't know. I mean, I think you're a product of the things that you walk through, and some of mine have been harder than others, and that it's beat me down in some seasons, and it's built me up in others, and I tend to gravitate towards gratitude, because I realize that the severity of what it is when you actually do have things that actually work, and the beauty of what it means to have wins.
Yeah.
I've spent so many seasons just begging for a win.
And you've experienced that in marriage, experienced that longing for a child. You've experienced that in music.
Yeah, relationally, everything.
Yeah. And what about the people who are out there right now and they're like, oh yeah, okay, well, there's somebody else who understands my world. What if they're in that right now? They're begging for a win, and maybe the quarantine wasn't like the instigator of uncertainty. What if they entered the quarantine already in that space, and this has only compounded the difficulty? Is there a word of encouragement for somebody who's in that space, like, man, I need a win so bad. I'm trying to keep my head above the water. What would you say to them? How do you encourage them when you're in that space? What do you need?
Yeah, I mean, I think for myself, I had to redefine what a win was.
Hmm.
Like I had to almost put on blinders and forget about what the rest of the world calls a win
Hmm.
and just find my own. So whether that was every day I'm going to go into the studio and I'm going to make something, and I'm not going to look at what everybody else is making and constantly put my thing up against their thing and try to
Hmm.
figure out which one was better. Like I just have to create and I have to make. Relationally is the same way. We spend all day scrolling through Instagram and seeing how everybody else has it good or whatever, and we tend to put our relationships up against others. And
Hmm.
we're
That
always
comparison winds up killing us.
yeah, the comparison game is what paralyzes us.
Hmm.
So I think as much as you can of putting on blinders and just doing um, doing what's right, and just doing what you feel like can lead you to a creative place. I think that's what you have to do.
Is a lot of it just showing up?
Yeah, yeah, and not every day is something good. Not every day even create anything, but it's like you create a space that allows you the ability to if the opportunity comes.
Yeah. How has um, is your default? Are you more of an introvert by nature or extrovert?
Mm,
A little
both.
bit of both. Yeah.
You could probably answer that question for me better than I
Yeah,
can.
well, it's funny. I probably would say so. Susan Cain wrote a book called Quiet, and she said there's such things as ambiverts,
Mm.
and that there's a little bit of both. And it's funny because I would say I experience you that way. When you do you get re-energized by being alone or by being with people?
Both.
Both. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's an ambivert. In this season where you haven't been able to be with, because you are a, when I watch you with, kind of in the people around you you're collaborating with and creating with, like, there's a lot of energy and all that. There's a lot of sparks, and you're very connected. There's a lot of laughter and fun and games and creativity, actually, because you're really good at creating collaboratively. Have you? Is there kind of like, do you feel like you really miss that? Is there a longing for that, or are you able to go to that other part of you and go, no, the just having my family is kind of been enough, and it's kind of filled that hole, or do you feel like, no, when this band lives, like I'm sprinting toward that, I miss it really that much?
Yeah, I mean, I think this has given me new tools for sure. I think my defaults are always to fall into community or to fall into, I spend all day making with two other guys the
Mm-hmm.
majority of the time. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that luxury right now. I'm
Mm.
sitting in a room, I'm doing things that I would mostly default to other people.
Ah,
And so I think this has given me a new set of tools for the toolbox. And it's, I'm using it as an educational piece. Like,
yeah,
I've heard a couple of people say, some people in this time are going to hibernate. Some people are going to use it as educational. And for me, it's definitely been educational of going, hey, if I'm going to come out on the other side of this thing, I want to be better than when I came in. And so I'm using it as a hey, get your stuff together and really be better than what you are.
yeah,
So
yeah. You're going to school.
yeah, yeah,
I love that. So this year's been super interesting and fun. You have a song that's a track on a film, right? That just came out.
yeah.
Talk a little bit about what that experience was like.
I mean, crazy because I'm like the voice of one of the actors, just I'm the singing voice of one of the actors, which is super weird. Yeah, this movie I Still Believe, which is Jeremy Camp's story, done by the Erwin brothers, and it's awesome. And yeah, so I got to do a couple of the singing things, and ended up writing a song for the movie that's in the soundtrack, and so it's
Is that
cool.
fun? Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you were on tour when this.
yeah.
Did your tour get like? I mean, you're on tour with Mercy Me. You guys were touring. I can't remember where were you in the country?
Mm-hmm.
Southwest or
We're
somewhere?
in Florida
Florida.
whenever we
And
called it.
then
Yeah.
tell us what happened that night. Like you guys have a show, and was it literally like a hard like? Oh, by the way, the rest of the tour is canceled.
Well, I mean, we bust down that night, and then we got up the next morning, and that was the night that like the NBA had canceled or whatever, and so everybody was kind of on edge. And even rolling off the bus that morning, like everything was going a lot slower. Like you could tell that everybody was kind of dragging their feet. Like nothing was going up quick. It was kind of like this weird tension. And probably by, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the stage still wasn't set up. And I was like, okay. I mean, it was kind of partially set up, but nobody would say anything. Everybody was like, yeah, we're playing tonight, whatever. And then it just like slowly started like, nope, it's over, tour's off, like, and that
And
was
you
it.
didn't even play that night.
Didn't even play that night. No.
Dang, you literally drove down there, didn't play, and bust back.
Yeah.
Man.
It's crazy.
Yeah. How do you, like, that has to have at least a level of disappointment to it. How do you handle
Huge.
it? Yeah. How do you handle that when what you thought was going to happen is, taken from you in a way?
I've asked a lot of questions about it because it was, for me, it was the first, this was my opportunity to go play these songs.
Yeah.
And,
this is from your solo project, right?
Yeah. Only tour I had on the book. I have nothing else scheduled for the rest of the year. Not another show. That was the only thing. And it was like, it was connecting. It felt really good. I got the bug. I was like, yes, like this, I want to do this. And then all of a sudden it was gone.
Man.
And I was like, all right.
And do you have,
am I supposed to do this? And what,
yeah, I was going to say, do you have resolution, or do you feel like you're still in the tension of like, no, I don't know what all of this means right now?
Yeah, I don't know.
And because I think a lot of folks are dealing with a version of maybe there's not a quick answer.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we try to make meaning out of things, I think, to soothe ourselves and to get ourselves sometimes out of being unstuck. But I've known you well enough to know you're pretty good at not rushing to have the answer. Like, you are so much better at it than I am. I kind of want to make meaning. I want to make a story out of this so I know why I'm here. But you're able to live in the tension of like, I don't know why, and I'm going to have to live in that. How do you make it? Like, for people who are like, I don't know how to do that. I'd be full of anxiety. How do you make it day to day?
Well, the one thing I had with this thing was that obviously I don't make my living off of touring, since that was the only thing that I had going on. So being able to fall back into studio stuff, I'm able to fall back into that. So there's not like a, all that's gone. Now, I mean, all of it could go. All the studio stuff could go away. There's tons of changes happening right now. Even our studio in downtown, like we're losing that in September, and it's kind of one of those things where we're trying to figure out what's next for us and all that season. And so there's lots of those questions flying around with me right now, and I don't know. I don't have the answers.
Is there a spiritual practice you use to ground yourself when you don't have the answers?
I mean, I think there's lots of just. I think the by myself thing is a lot of that. I tend to get by myself. I tend to quiet myself. Obviously, I fall into music a lot with it. So sometimes my response comes out through song. Sometimes it comes out through just expressing myself through that way. But the majority of it comes through creating and all that kind of stuff.
So in the midst of not having answers, you stay in motion.
Yeah.
Because I do think
can't stop.
Can't stop.
Stop, you die.
Yeah. And I think that's such a good word, David, for all of us, because that is the temptation for a lot of us.
Yeah.
It's to stop because if I don't know the answers, why would I want to move forward? But there's something about the magic of staying in motion that other things wind up happening just because you stay in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Well, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, man.
And man, I miss seeing you. And
You
so
too,
it's
man.
good to see your face, and um, anxious to hear what's next. Is there any music that might, like, new original stuff that you might be coming out with at all?
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out. I got a bunch of songs, so we're trying
Okay,
to figure out when we're doing that. But working on a bunch of other people's records right now, so that fills up a lot of the space. But
gotcha. All right.
having a lot of fun.
All right. Yeah, for folks who are like, hey, how do I this project, the weight that has, again, those of us who've been close to it just fallen in love with it. If they want to hear your music, see some of the stuff you're up to, or find out who you are as a producer, what's the best place they can go to find out about it?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram is definitely my hub for
Okay.
social anything. So David Leonard Music. You can go to YouTube, search David Leonard, all that stuff. Apple, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, all that stuff.
Okay.
It's all right there. So
But Instagram's probably the most real-time updated.
yeah,
Good. Okay.
for sure.
Awesome. Well, great to see you, my friend. Say hi to
You too,
Natalie
man.
and
We'll do.
and say hi to the kids for me. Take care. See you.